Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Plan B from the European server playing in their Tier 8 British tank destroyer. It is the AT-15. This vehicle is the kind of tank that nobody truly really wants to play. Let's be honest, everybody wants to get its bigger brother, the Tortoise. Nevertheless, you have to be able to suffer through this vehicle, unless you want to dump free experience and blueprint, to be able to get the next tank. Nevertheless, this vehicle, its win ratio isn't the worst of the Tier 8 Tech Tree tanks, but it's pretty darn close. And that's because I just don't really feel that 230 alpha damage works at Tier 8, as the Tortoise, for example, has 400 alpha, but even that feels like it's a little bit low. So this is actually the second player that is going to be using a commander who I'd never really heard in my life. It is John Connor from Terminator 2. We had our hero, was Alpha Shooter, I believe, in the FV405, who was having a John Connor crew as well. So the AT-15, while it doesn't have the alpha damage at 230, what it does have, however, is amazing rate of fire. This tank has 2,760 damage per minute, and while that's pretty much about 20% less than the Tortoise, it's still really, really good for Tier 8. But I'd probably rather play something like a TS5, which has comparable damage per minute, but has really good heat rounds and also 400 alpha damage and probably doesn't have weak points on top of the tank. Nevertheless, this vehicle, it has awful penetration, 226 on its regular rounds and 258 on its premium rounds, where there's quite a lot of other Tier 8 tank destroyers that are starting to pack more like 300. Plan B has actually switched their gold rounds to their 1 key so that they don't have to dab the 2 key twice at the start of the battle. The gold rounds on this vehicle I can completely forgive, especially when you're shooting at higher tier tanks like the 50 TP, because this vehicle, if you don't manage to penetrate your shots, it is completely worthless. Its armor doesn't really hold up most of the time, but luckily a couple of bounces from the 50 TP and the IS-3A means that Plan B at least are maintaining most of their 1,450 starting hit points. The thing you got to really watch out for on this vehicle is, yeah, look at that. That's a really obvious weak point on this tank. And unfortunately for Plan B, they're going around a left-hand corner rather than going around a right-hand corner. Although there's not much opportunity for them to be able to like change to the other side and then get a shot in the side of their vehicle from all of the medium tanks. Nevertheless, Plan B is just showing good awareness of their opportunities to be able to get shots in. And also to not try and side-scrape in this vehicle. Side-scraping in this tank is very awkward because you just end up making the upper hull of your vehicle very flat. And I love this play as well. Plan B, a little bit of a ricochet there against the IS-3A, knows how to apply aggression in this tank. And again, with these British TDs, if you don't apply pressure on your opponents, then there's no point of them. The thing is though, if I'm in a Tortoise, I feel like I'm in a lot more control of the scenario, and I don't have to fire nearly so often. This thing has a base reload of 5 seconds. Now when you get a gun rammer on it, premium consumable, brothers in arms, yada yada yada, you're probably getting it down to more like the 4-second mark. The Tortoise, if you use bond rammer, bond vents, gun rammer directive, premium consumable, goes down to a 5-second reload, which feels much more manageable. However, you know, having such a rapid fire on the AT-15 can be a tremendous advantage when it comes to dealing module damage to your opponents. So this is definitely the kind of tank that I would recommend that you get Deadeye on, so you can be able to increase your crit chance. And now, with the way that the premium consumable and the vents do add to that crit chance as well, it's kind of more like 4.5% that you're going to be increasing your chances to crit your opponents with. And when you've got these rapid fire guns, they are the best for being able to do multiple crits. Talking about that, I was going to go and have a quick look to see whether Plan B was trying to do a mission in the AT-15. They're trying to do a hidden menace. Yeah, I don't really think that this is the tank to try and sneak around and shoot your opponents unspotted. In fact, you'd be an awful AT-15 player to use this thing as a sneaky tank destroyer. It is destined to go and be aggressive on a forward position against heavies. Equipment-wise on this tank, gun rammer you must use. Turbo I feel you must use on this vehicle as well. Otherwise you're going to be limited to 20 kilometers an hour, which is just absolutely horrific. And then really it comes down to whether you want to use vents or a durability device on this vehicle, or if you feel that you absolutely, utterly have to have a view range enhancement. But again, this vehicle's only about close range combat and not about engaging your opponents at a decent distance. Yes, they do have armor. It's a tank, John Connor, for goodness sake. I have to admit, it's these voice actors from the Terminator 2 thing, I don't think they did necessarily a bad job, but it just doesn't feel right. I know you couldn't go and get, what's his name, Edward Furlow or something? The original actor who played John Connor. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a voice like that anymore. What were they thinking? Not much. Tony Montana came around the corner as if he was, yeah, a bit confident on the old, the happy stuff there. Unfortunately, he did say hello to Plan B's little friend, that's for sure. So, Plan B manages to shut down the CC-67. Punishes the Super Pershing for even thinking that they could get the final shot into Plan B's rear of the AT-15, and this is a fantastic game already in this tank. Plan B's are looking at their medium tank who's just camping in the corner, although maybe they managed to get some good damage from back there, we don't know. But it'd be really nice if the Kunze-Panzer would now commit and start to enter the fray. And I don't know what I'm more surprised about. The fact that the AT-15 here is doing so well, or the fact that the Kunze-Panzer is actually leaving their sniper spot and making their way towards the middle of the map. Alright, so Plan B, rock in the corner, hopefully able to catch this Super Pershing. They've got to be careful, however, because there's also an AC-48 where we don't know where they were last spotted. And the last thing that you want is to get destroyed by a French auto-loading tank destroyer when you're playing a British one. You know, British tanks, they can't be killed by French vehicles. It just can't happen, you know, as an Englishman here. It happens all the time. What are you talking about, QuickyBaby, of course. Okay, so, having created a bit of a graveyard in the center of the map here, destroying a third of the enemy team, now Plan B is going to crest the ridge and find the AC-48. The AC-48 turning their tank towards Plan B, and this is where that awful low roll there of 208 out of the 230 now means that the AC-48 is still alive. It looks like that AC-48 is using a durability device as they have 1,220 hit points. I think the base hit points on that vehicle is 1,150. But Plan B also have to be afraid of the Super Pershing now. Having gone up there and got spotted, it's pretty obvious that the Super Pershing would try and make a flanking play, and Plan B is showing that they are not just a great player with regards to their micro here, but also from their macro plays of seeing how the battle is going to continue. Again, a low roll there on the Super Pershing means that Plan B has to put the second shot in, but quickly turns around, and even though they're not spamming gold anymore, still has enough penetration to go through the AC-48. And wow, 7 kills now in this tank in not the best matchup. This is an amazing game of World of Tanks. But seeing how Plan B is down by pretty much 2,500 hit points and down by a tank, they've got a lot of work to do in this battle. Although a little less now with the dangerous autoloading Czechoslovakian medium tank out this game, it's starting to look a little bit more likely that Plan B might have even a chance of victory here. Now, there is a little bit of an elephant in the room with this replay, and that is that the Cobra hasn't been spotted even 9 minutes into the game. Are they AFK? Are they just playing hyper defensively down towards the southeast? Usually in these kind of situations, players would have either been spotted in the first 9 minutes, or alternatively, they'd picked up a kill from their sneaky position. The WZ-111 looks like they fire an HE shell there at the Skoda, and now they're going to come around the corner to try and harass the reloading Czechoslovakian autoloader, but luckily, they just drive straight in front of Plan B, who now has 9 kills to their name. This is an outrageous game. Look, if I was playing in a Tortoise, this would be a great game of World of Tanks, but to do this in an AT-15 in this kind of a matchup, this is some truly stupendous stuff. Okay, so the Emil spotted once again. The Emil was actually possibly on full hit points there, although maybe they're about to render. They've actually rendered. We can see the Emil. The Emil is still on full HP. And Plan B has 11 AP shells left, and 7 high explosive rounds. Now, this vehicle, it doesn't have the largest amount of ammunition. 7 HE rounds, still pretty good for when you want to lock down your opponents or be able to just deal with glass cannon tanks. But yeah, I wouldn't probably take 7 HE shells personally on this vehicle. So Plan B is going to have to penetrate pretty much all of their armor-piercing rounds if he has to deal with a full health Cobra and has to deal with an Emil. Now, Plan B is still being very cautious here about where the Cobra could be. If I was a Cobra, well, firstly, if I was a Cobra, I would have been spotted in the first 10 minutes of the game. But if I was thinking about where the Cobra would be, I thought they would be up in the bushes. But actually, oh dear, looks like the Cobra didn't even manage to leave spawn. But now Plan B's got a very awkward scenario. And that is, well, of course they're going to farm the Cobra. What happens if they run out of ammunition and then they don't have enough rounds for the Emil? So they actually decide now to switch to HE and try and find the weakest part of this Cobra. And unfortunately, their alpha damage has been reduced from 230 down to 59. And also this gives the Emil an opportunity to be able to relocate and possibly deal with the Borsig or the Skoda T27. But now, oh gosh, Plan B misses one of their armor-piercing rounds into the side of the Cobra. Oh, a low roll means it's now a 50-50. Okay, thankfully it manages to go in. But now Plan B, even securing their 10th kill of the game, only has 4 armor-piercing shells to be able to try and deal with the Emil one now on full hit points. And 4 shells is not even going to do 1,000 damage on this tank. It's going to be significantly shy of 1,000 damage. So maybe Plan B is going to have to go down to the wire with the HE shells here. Luckily for Plan B, it looks like it's got a competent team as they're all advancing at the same time. Plan B actually gets spotted but doesn't manage to see the Emil there. Pings where the Emil is, advances, uses that 10 degrees of gun depression. But unfortunately for the Borsig, the Emil puts in a couple of rounds. And it looks like the Skoda put in a couple of rounds into the Emil as well. But now that means that Plan B should have the Emil reloading. Oh god, aim these shells well, my friend. Okay, 2 shells should still be okay now to be able to finish off the Emil. Final armor-piercing shell should be enough here. Fires into the rock. Plan B greedy here for the 11 kills of this game. And will it roll high enough? It does. Woo! And with 2 HE shells left in their tank, Plan B, I guess, did have to kind of go to Plan B in this scenario with firing the HE shells at an AFK Cobra. And that was a really good move because it gave them the extra bit that they needed for the Emil to be able to secure that kill and have a game for the ages with 8,000 damage dealt in a rather terrible tank destroyer. So what kind of a reward do you get if you hypercarry as if you were a tier 10 tank in one of the lesser of the tier 8 tank destroyers in the game, the 4th worst win ratio? Well, you get 2,472 base experience. Yeah, I think that was about 2 times the amount that you needed for an ace tanker in this vehicle, Plan B. So congratulations to you on one of the highest experience games of all time in this British TD. To add to that, Plan B gets a Pools medal for their 11 kills and a Steel Wall medal for managing to ricochet 2,700 damage. But unfortunately, Plan B fired 148,000 credits of ammunition this game. So even with the completion of a mission, this was still a 15,000 credit loss. But considering for most players, this would be an experience record on their entire account, do they really care about losing 13k credits? Probably not. So Plan B, congratulations to you on this mammoth game of World of Tanks in a vehicle like this. It's a truly impressive feat how you relentlessly grinded down the enemy team and showed some great macro awareness, especially with the Skoda T27 on your team to clearly carry this battle. And thank you so much for uploading your awesome game on the What Replays website for the community to enjoy. I thoroughly did. And I hope all of you out there watching this video enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for the World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, most of you have voted for the M5Y. So come along and see a line that nobody really is talking about, but can actually end up being very proficient. These American reserve track mechanic heavy tanks can actually apply a lot of pressure, and hopefully today I'm going to show you why. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.